Yo, my name is what? My name is what? My name is Chicka Chicka Tim Jr.
What do you mean?
It's, dude, imagine driving in the car and the reflection is bouncing off your wife's fucking phone and hitting you in the eyes. That's what it feels like. I can't. That's ridiculously too much. I can't even look at the camera.
Right.
Like, come sit here. Come sit there. Take your sunglasses off. Yeah. It's chimichangas are the best. Chimichangas are the best. Chimichangas are the best. That's how you warm up.
I think this is even helping.
You can't have the sun directly
Look at the
at my
camera lens. Don't look at the light.
You know it's impossible. We're going to jail today. Welcome to Keeping It Real Estate. So if you didn't know, we're from Waterford, Wisconsin. So right behind me actually is one of the projects that we've been working on for the past few years. They finally have closed on the property and they've started construction. Right now they're pouring footings, they're getting ready to pour the slab and the foundation. Legacy Realty Group and myself, we are selling the commercial units below on the bottom floor. And then there are residential condo units on the second and third floor. Those will be coming on the market sometime in 2023. It's a great thing, a lot of development going on. We're super excited. We got a couple other things in the pipeline that we're working on right now. All good things happening in Waterford when it comes to commercial real estate. Plus, you know, we dominate the residential game as well. So if you remember last time, I just started my tattoo sleeve. Everything was outlined, nothing had been shaded in at that point. I had a second appointment about 2 weeks after we filmed the first episode. Unfortunately, my tattoo artist got COVID and she was down for a week. She's feeling better. I snuck in for my second session about 2 weeks after that. She filled in most of my arm. I was fortunate enough yesterday to go back in and finish the rest of my arm and everything being filled in. We've got a couple more pieces to add and then the rest of it's got to get shaded and highlighted, but it's coming along nicely. Speaking of all the construction going on in the background, I've done construction my whole life until I got into real estate. I've had a lot of jobs, probably too many jobs. At one point, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 years old, I had as many jobs as I was years old at that point. I've picked potatoes by hand out of a farm field. I've roofed houses. I've poured concrete. I've done landscaping. I've done asphalt work. My last construction job before I got into real estate, I built an asphalt plant with the owner's son. Him and I worked hand in hand. And we constructed that thing from the ground up. We pulled all the footings, all the concrete. We constructed it piece by piece. We had cranes come in and help us put it together. It was incredible. Learned how to weld, learned how to do a lot of different fabricating. It was probably one of my favorite jobs. Just between building the plant and learning how to fabricate and running heavy equipment, it kind of gave you a variety of everything. When I fell off the building and I got hurt and it pushed me into real estate, it was probably one of the most devastating things, just knowing that I couldn't do that anymore. When I graduated high school, came from a blue-collar family, grew up in a blue-collar small-town community. My whole life I wanted to be a union construction worker. I bounced around and continued to elevate myself until I got to a really good job and I became a union worker and made really good money and had really good benefits. And that was kind of my dream, was to always be a heavy equipment operator. I would say one of my favorite jobs that I ever had, I was 14, 15 years old. I worked on a farm. My brother worked there with me. We had friends that worked there with us. We'd get up early in the morning, we'd drive to this farm. It was a sweet old man and a sweet old lady, and we'd work all morning long just picking potatoes and picking vegetables by hand. They'd come with a tiller and they'd turn all the vegetables up, and you'd have to go with 5-gallon buckets and just bend over and pick those things. It was probably not the best job. Old man and old lady, they were just so sweet and kind. At lunchtime we'd break and they would make us homemade meals, sloppy joes, chicken, all kinds of stuff. I mean, she would go about an hour before us and start making meals. It was incredible. To be able to work with your brother and to work with your friends and to pick potatoes, it sounds dumb, but it was so exciting. Sometimes you'd get these rotten potatoes and you'd pick it up and you'd turn and you'd whip it at the person behind you who was picking potatoes behind you. So you'd work as fast and as hard as you could, because it's always a race, right? Everything's competitive when you're a dude. So you're working as hard as you could to get to the end of the line, but at the same time, you want to go fast and get the next rotten, soft, gross smelling potato, just so you could turn around and throw it at your best friend's back and it explodes and now he stinks like a dirty potato for the rest of the day. So there's just something about that hits a little bit different.
I'm talking to the mic. That job fucking sucked. It was not fun. We begged for the days to end.
No, it was hanging out with the boys, and you're 14, 15 years old, making a little cash, throwing potatoes at each other. Like, There's just something about that will always be a core memory for me. Jack's just a bitch. He used to get mad. We'd throw potatoes and it'd break on his leg, and now he stink like a potato. He's fine. You know, it's kind of cool, actually. I was fortunate enough to work with my brother on a few jobs. That was probably our first. We worked at Burger King together. We had a lot of fun times at Burger King fucking around. He was a manager, so he would do a lot of the scheduling as we kind of progressed through that. So he'd try to schedule us where we worked together. I did football, so he would go and work, and then I would work for a couple hours and go back to football practice or the games or whatever. But as we got older or football slowed down or I was in the off season, he would schedule us and we'd work late together, and we'd always find ways to fuck around. A couple other jobs that we worked together, we worked at 2 different lawn care companies where we treated lawn care, right? We'd fertilize and we'd spray for weeds and stuff like that. The first one that we worked out, we had some incredible times. Him and I worked really hard and we had a good rapport, so they actually teamed us together. It was the first time they have ever done that. So the 2 of us would go and do large commercial accounts together and we would spray. We were one of the best, most fast crew that there was. We fucked around a lot of times. We'd get our work done as quick as we could, and it'd be 2, 3 o'clock, and we're like, well, let's go sit at the gas station for 2 hours because we crushed the day and we were so fast. I remember one time we were doing some residential yards because we got done and they gave us some extra work, and we got done and this guy came out and he kept trying to offer us sloppy joes, and we're like, dude, like, we don't want your sloppy joes. They're cold and we're fine. It's like 3 o'clock. I don't want a sloppy joe right now. And he kept pushing it. So we're like, fine, we're nice dudes. Let's take these sloppy joes. We took them. We didn't want them. We took a bite. It wasn't good. We thought it was cold. It was a terrible sloppy joe. Nice gesture. I appreciate the gesture, but it's not what we wanted. And he pushed it, so we took it. The problem was our garbage was full, like completely full, overflowing. Whatever, we're terrible, sloppy, young 20-year-old dudes, so you can only imagine how dirty our truck was. So being stupid 21, 22-year-olds that we were and immature and feeding off of one another, when we left this guy's house, we didn't know what to do with it, so we threw it out the window. Well, he saw us throw it out the window and he called our boss to report us, and we got in trouble. That was the first time that we probably got in trouble there. Another time, him and I were working the same job, and we had this ride machine that it's called a Permagreen, and you ride on it and you fertilize, or you can spray and fertilize yards. And he had been trained in it. I wasn't trained in it at the time, but I kept wanting to. I'm like, hey, dude, I want to do this. I could operate this thing. Like, I'm an operator. Like, give me a shot to operate this thing. He's like, fine, just, be careful. Like, don't do anything dumb. Take your time. You don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm like, dude, I got this. I didn't have it. Right? I was on it for no more than a few minutes and I drove it off a cliff. Like, no lie, it was a landscaping cliff. There were bricks all around. We were elevated like 5-6 feet. I drove that fucking thing right off the side of the cliff, couldn't stop, jumped off of it, broke a bunch of shit. It was downhill from there. They ended up wanting to separate us. We got upset. Like, I get it. I definitely broke the equipment, but like, shit happens, right? Like, so we ended up leaving that job and we went to another landscaping job, doing the same exact stuff, just a different company. Actually, it was a little closer to home and we got a little more money, so it worked out well. One thing I want to take a time out here and say, never be afraid to quit a job to better yourself, right? Especially when you're young guys. Don't take a job and say, I'm gonna work here for 30 years. That's not how it works anymore. If you want more money, you want more time off, you want better benefits, you better always be looking out for yourself and making connections and try to better yourself. Don't get bogged down and just be comfortable with what you're doing. I had a lot of jobs, and every time I quit a job, I got more money. And every time I got more money, I got more benefits. Don't be afraid to do what is right for you to better yourself, even if that means leaving a job and going to a different one. But back to the second story. Went to this company. It was fun. We did the same stuff. We were doing a lot of big commercial accounts. There was actually a large crew that would go out to each commercial account because they were such large properties, and we would ride together. Well, one time we were driving back from Chicago and we were passing one of the stadiums. I don't remember what it was. We were passing a stadium. We were in stop and go traffic, and him and I were like in awe of the stadium and fucking around in the truck, not paying attention. And the guys in front of me stopped it was a convoy of like 4 or 5 of us in a row, and they stopped and I wasn't paying attention, and bam, right into the back of our work trailer. Needless to say, I didn't have a job. That was probably the first time that I'd ever been really let go from a job. So working with my brother has been incredible. We always find fun things to do. Even now today, we don't work directly with each other. He owns his company, I own mine, but we're actually next door to one another. My business feeds off of his more so than the other way around. He does marketing and website design. So obviously from a real estate perspective, I use his services all the time. He does a lot of print material for me. And also he does videography and photography. So they do all of our photos for real estate, and also he's the one making me look like a rock star right now. So
the one story that you didn't mention about TruGreen is we had a really slow day and we drove a fucking hour out of our way to weed kill your dad's yard. Remember, we fertilized the hell out of it. So we weed killed it and fertilized it. We drove an hour out of the way. We did triple the fertilizer we needed to. And I remember for like 3 weeks afterwards, he had to cut the grass like 2 or 3 times a week because it was growing so damn fast. Your dad's reaction every 2 days, like, the fucking grass needs to be cut again.
Hey, that was probably the best his grass has ever looked, even to this day. We sold vacuum cleaners door to door. I sold it for 2 different companies. The first one was Kirby. We'd go door to door, door knocking, get myself in, sell vacuum cleaners. Then we found a better product called Rainbow. To this day, that's probably one of my best vacuum cleaners ever, and the idea of it just makes so much sense. The idea behind Rainbows is wet dust can't fly, right? So like, listen, I'm gonna sell a fucking Rainbow vacuum cleaner to these people right now. So listen, what it does is it vacuums like a normal vacuum, but instead of going through a paper filter, it goes into a container that is like sloshing around like a tornado of water. So the dust comes into the water, and obviously wet dust can't fly. Imagine you're driving down a gravel road and it's the summertime. If you drive down that gravel road and it hasn't rained, it gets dusty, right? But if there's some fresh rain and that dampens and you drive down, there's no dust, boys. There's no dust. Get your spouse or your girlfriend or your wife a Rainbow vacuum cleaner. I'm gonna shamelessly plug them. I didn't get nothing. They're not a sponsor of this yet.
Do you remember like the training, like 45-minute sales pitch you'd get trained on? You would take this light, scrape it against the carpet, shine it down, point at dust particles, and there goes, oh yeah, there's a fly's eyeball and there's a spider leg flying around.
Yeah, that's some high pressure sales. I did not like, I don't consider myself in real estate as a salesperson, right? Like our title, our salesperson through the state, and that's what our license says. But when I meet new clients, I'm like, listen, I don't care what house you buy, just buy one eventually. I'm not here to sell this house or sell that house. I'm here to help navigate kind of the process and explain to you how things work and what you should be concerned about or what you're thinking about, right? More of like a mentor or a guide through that process, less about trying to sell an individual thing to you. Rainbow vacuum cleaners and Kirby's, that is not the same. You are high pressured. I have walked into people's houses 1 month selling Kirby vacuum cleaners and sold them that product, and then 6 months later, I have walked in with Rainbow and showed them how much superior that product is to the one that I sold them 6 months ago, and they have thrown me out of their house.
Hey, not just people. Who was it?
I've done it to my uncle. I've done it to my best friend growing up, his family. They were pissed. Thousands of dollars.
1,800. I think it was 1,800 bucks for like the base model.
Yeah. And we used to get good commission. I get like 500 bucks each time you sold one. And when you're 17, 18, 19 years old and you're one a week, you're happy, right? Like, I'll make 500 bucks. I'll work for a couple of days. I'm cool.
And the way that they would get you is like, let's say you can't afford it, you try to get them to join the company and sell products to earn their product for free. So you would try to sign them up. It was definitely an MLM.
MLM, that's the politically correct way of saying pyramid scheme. Let's be honest with it. They don't say it pyramid. Well, think about it. Everything's technically pyramid these days because you have a salesperson selling and then the supervisor and then the manager and then the owner. Stop. We know what it is. It's fine. It works. A lot of people do it. There's nothing wrong with that, but the high pressure of sales, I just don't feel good about myself when I do that, right? I'm convincing these people who probably can't or shouldn't afford these expensive as vacuum cleaners to buy it.
There's always the shitty houses, like, you know, they can't afford an $1,800 vacuum.
CEO of Rainbow, you look into my eyes right now. I'm gonna tell you how to improve your business. Stop doing direct sales, my guy, all right? It's 2022. Get an online presence, get an online platform, take your giant system that you have that I gotta wheel around with fucking gallons of water and condense it to a regular upright vacuum cleaner with water so it's simple for people, and sell them online, right? If you need a good marketing company, Greenlight Designs would be happy to help you. You need a better online presence. You need people to be able to buy that shit from you direct, and you need to lower the price a little bit. And I guarantee your sales will improve and your company will improve. If you need more tips from me, call me. We'll put my number at the end of this video and feel free to call me.
No, we won't.
Okay, we're not putting my phone number at the end of the video. Hear you, loud ass trailer. Hold on, it's getting louder. I mean, it's getting louder, is it not? Oftentimes, people not in real estate but are close to me and hear me talking to clients or some of the scenarios that I go through, they'll say, hey, is a headache client or seller or buyer worth the headache to go through that process and close the sale? Is that worth it to you? And for me personally, the answer is yes, always. And the best advice that I ever got from somebody was actually when I worked at a bar So I worked at a bar all winter long. It was a karaoke bar. I loved it. I love karaoke, so it was my jam. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got from the owner, listen, it doesn't matter what you think of people or what you think of your patrons, you know, or your clients. At that time, it wasn't clients, it was the people coming in to get drinks. It doesn't matter what you think of them or how difficult they are. At the end of the day, their cash is still green and they're paying you. So allow them to be cranky, allow them to be upset, allow them to treat you like shit to a certain degree, right? Like you gotta keep your integrity and you gotta keep your mojo about yourself and not let them totally disrespect you. It doesn't matter. And quite frankly, in real estate, that's translated so well to me. I have had incredible clients and I have had clients that just are a little bit more difficult, if you will. And I don't even like the word difficult. I just say they need a little bit more attention. They need a little bit more conversation. A buyer that's younger may need a little bit more hand-holding. A seller may just not be able to handle the stress of selling as well as other sellers. So you've got to be more sympathetic to them, right? You've got to really explain the process a little bit different to them. You've got to say, hey, listen, I know that you're frustrated and some of this stuff came up that we didn't anticipate, but take a breath. We'll get through it. There's always solutions. You're never going to be in a position where we don't have a solution. Don't worry about it. We're good. The second year that I was into real estate, I was working with a buyer and they were a little bit of a challenging buyer from like their finance perspective. They had some stuff that made getting financing difficult, and the lender that they went with also didn't help the situation and made it worse. There was some student loan stuff and the lender just wasn't ahead of it and was making it challenging for all of us. I didn't know the seller, had never met them. It was completely independent realtor working with them, and we kept having to extend. Like we get to where we think we were gonna close and then the lender would need more time, so we'd have to go to the seller and ask for more time to extend. This happened like 1 or 2 times, and then we went back for like a 3rd time and the seller was having none of it. They were like, listen guys, if you can't get your loan, this is not fair to us. We need to be able to find a new buyer. This is bullshit. And I kept reassuring the agent, like, listen, we've got a plan. I was on the phone with the student loan department and my buyer. I was on the phone with the lenders doing everything that I could, working as hard as I could to get this deal to go. I really wanted these buyers to get this house, and we needed another extension, and I felt really good based on the conversations I had with the people that were in the know, the student loans and the lender, that if we could get this one last extension, we could get it done. So I begged and I pleaded with the agent, and the agent, I don't know if he was helpful or just not that great to communicate with his client, I don't know. But the seller was not happy. The seller got pissed. So I was sitting at home one day waiting for them to respond, and that seller looked me up, because my name is all over the paperwork. They looked me up online and they called me, and he was yelling at me. This is bullshit. You know, we're going to a trip in Florida right now and our house is supposed to be sold and you guys can't get your shit together. Why should we extend you? There's no way you guys are gonna get it done. You've lied to us 2 other times. I was calm. I said, listen, I understand your frustration. I promise you we're not trying to do this maliciously. My buyers love your house. They want your house. Here's the scenario. Here's everything that I've been doing to make this deal go through and make this deal happen for not only you, but my buyers, right? It's important for my buyers to get this house. So I talked him off the ledge. He was calm. He was appreciative of all the information and how level-headed I was about the conversation. We closed. My buyers were happy. They were happy. We walked out of closing and that other agent wasn't there. And the sellers came up to me and they said, hey, we appreciate everything that you did for us, and we know that this was stressful, and we know that we kind of came at you aggressively and we attacked you, but we were so impressed at how you handled it and how poised you were and how communicative you were with us when you didn't have to be through this whole process. We want to hire you to help us look for our next house. So guess what? I helped them look for their next house. They then referred their mother to me. I sold her house. I helped her buy a house, and his sister's boyfriend to me. I helped him sell a house, and now his sister is also looking to sell her house and buy a house. They instantly became one of my best clients long term. They became a really good friend of mine. We hang out with them a few times a year, and they are loyal to me as the day comes along. That is the perfect example of, hey, be calm, work through the process, never lose your cool with your client, because I promise you, they will notice and emotions will come down and they will eventually look at you and say, you know what? I was a little aggressive right there, but I loved that he was able to be poised and work through this process and be communicative with me and get the job done. And that is what they appreciate, and that is what they remember, and that is how you get loyalty for life out of your client. I'm gonna be a goddamn president one day. You know that, right, TikTok? Like, listen, TikTok. I'm gonna be president. I'm gonna run as a Republican, but I have a little bit of liberal views too. Like, just hear me. When the time comes, just remember that I'll make a great president. And I have a sleeve, and I'll play some Lil Jon and East Side Boys when I walk on the stage for my speeches, like, you're gonna like me. It's gonna be fun. Ooh, what are some laws that I want to implement if I become president? Honestly, I'm gonna sign so many goddamn executive orders that I'm gonna make Congress sue me. I think term limits should be definitely a conversation, but I think more than anything, age limits should be a thing, right? Like, people 70, 80, 90 years old should not be running this country. Like, the way things were 50, 60 years ago when you were working class and you were in your 30s and you were raising a family, that is not today's world. You have no idea what it's like to live in poverty. You have no idea what it's like to go through mental health crises. You have no idea what it's like to have family addicted to drugs. You are just so far out of touch with reality that if there's a minimum age to be president of the United States, there should most certainly be a limit on how old you can be to make decisions that affect millions, hundreds of millions of people that are not in your age bracket. And as a millennial who's part of the largest age demographics in this country, you have no idea what it's like to be a millennial, to be able to work and raise a family and have things be so expensive. You're just out of touch, and your time has come. It's time to pass the baton to a younger generation and allow us to take over and show you how things should be run in this country. I got everyone's vote. So we're about to get into our challenges and our real estate game. Guess the price. We need a jingle for that, guys. Like, I don't know what it is. Hey, TikTok, you guys are fucking creative, right? Instagram, you're creative. I want somebody to come up with a badass jingle that we can implement, and we will give you free shout outs on all our videos for Guess the Price. I'm thinking, da-da-da, guess the price. I don't know. You guys figure it out. Come up with something super cool. If it's banging, we're going to use it in our videos going forward. So, it's a little challenge for you guys. Are you up to it or not? For this Guess the Price and the ones going forward, we had to change the format a little bit because unfortunately our producer, who we're still looking to replace, okay, so if you're wanting to send in an application, please do that. I sent them a list of all the houses in southeast Wisconsin, so like our general area, a lot of different communities that have sold in the past 30 to 35 days. But now we have made it so I have to guess the sale price within 10% of what it closed for. I get to use one lifeline. On the back of each property will be a description of the property, right? Like the MLS description that you put on there. I get to pick one property out of the three to read the back of it. So hopefully I don't need it, but if I need a lifeline, it is there, and it'll give me a little bit more information to help me guess the price.
Go ahead.
I don't like this part of the game. It kind of looks like a can of soda, but also a road. So, you know, I'm not, is it like a can of Sprite? I get to drink a can of Sprite.
You have to chug Sprite without burping.
All right, Mount Pleasant. 3 beds, 3 baths, 2,100 square feet. Oh, there goes my challenge. 2,100 square feet, beautiful house. Nice 2-car garage, brick facade in the front, updated bathroom, $385.
$140,000.
Fuck.
Read the MLS description for fun.
Hurry, make your dream become a
Not.
I am 0 for 4 so far, guys. It's not looking great for me. As a real estate agent, I gotta look at the data, man. Like, you know, that's why we have processes in place, and that's why we don't. Hey, if anything, this is a really good proof of evidence that you should not have a realtor come into your house with never seen it and not having the ability to spend a few minutes looking at comps that have actually sold and getting that data. Because sometimes we walk in and we think we know what it's worth, but until we go back and we spend time actually reviewing and looking at comps and getting the factual information, we're just guessing, right? If anything, use this as proof for that. It's a way to show why I'm 0 for 4. So I have to try to chug this and not burp. Oh, I gotta sit up for this. Cheers, boys. Oh. I halfway through I had to burp. Like halfway through. I thought if I pounded through it, it would go away. I'm 0 for 5 now. Oh, it's so hot. Why did I wear a black shirt on a black couch in the sun?
All right,
I cry on this fucking show too much.
Don't pick that one.
Oh, you fuckers. I'm getting shot with something, and I think it's those gel blasters, isn't it? I don't know what I'm getting shot with yet. Oh, fuck. All right. Germantown, 4 beds, 2.5 bathrooms, over 2,900 square feet. I'm gonna be honest, I don't do a lot of business in Germantown. I do think it carries a little bit higher price tag. Open concept, it is beautiful. Does it reach the 5s? I'm gonna go 479,900.
Yeah, it sold for $600,000.
Germantown's tough. Damn, I was not close. Whoo, 0 for 5. I'm not good at real estate right now. I'm gonna be honest. Milwaukee again?
Alright, here you go.
I get a bucket of water. I'm guessing dumped on me. Like, what's in it? Is it water? I would rather these punishments than peppers, if I'm being honest. Guys, can you please send me good vibes so I can get this one correct, please? I'm desperate. It's in Milwaukee. It's 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,600 square feet, stand-up shower. The houses around it don't look too terrible. The front of this is really cute. Spiral staircase, 205,000. What was this one?
275,000.
Oh, that's a good price. Guys, this is not, you guys are supposed to make me look good. I'm not looking like a good realtor right now. Take the mic off.
Do I slow play it? Do I go fast? What do you think?
You motherfuckers. Oh, all them ice baths I took helped. Gotta change now.
You'll dry. It's not that wet.
It felt nice, I'm gonna be honest. It was warm today, so this kind of worked out perfect. Again, here's the thing, guys. If you have suggestions on topics, if you have suggestions for punishments, send us a message, comment on our videos. If it makes sense, we'll definitely implement it. I appreciate my followers. I appreciate you guys listening to the full episode and coming in hot and strong for me. I'm excited. Follow along, send us some suggestions and comments. Let us know what you guys want to see. And we'll do it. Everyone wants to know, where is the couch going to be next time? Thanks for keeping it real with me, baby.